you want to take, and that's what's being broadcast live.
Okay.
Probably want to level that camera off when you get in a minute. And then when a session ends, click on the logo. Hey, 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 here's your VU. And you want to make sure this VU is bouncing off 0. But when you go to logo, it means
And then,
yeah, I think if you, that right below in the center there, this handle here, if you unscrew it, and that you can level it off.
Oh,
then.
nice.
There you go. That's pretty close right there. Might want to tighten it back. Here, let me show you what you got. Oh, you can see over there, huh?
oh, yeah. I'm just trying to get the little bubble first. But, yeah. Okay.
It zooms on top. Yep.
And there's going to be name cards?
Yeah, go into, yeah, that's probably good right there.
Okay.
And then look at the table. It's going downhill a little bit, right to left.
Yeah. You want me to make sure it goes straight?
Yeah. So then, like I said, all day, all you have to do, no zooming in, no zooming out. The client hates that for some reason. And then just pan left and right. And then if the session is completely full,
Yes.
at the very end, zoom back so you can see how many people were in the room. Wow, you know. Check. Yeah, I think we're good audio-wise. Good.
Where's are those the mics or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're taking a feed right off the board.
Okay. I guess, well, I'll go talk to them.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, testing. It's a good level.
Yep.
Testing, 1, 2,
Yep.
testing, 1,
And
2.
you might want to pull the mics all the way to the edge of the table so it kind of forces everyone. And then maybe tell towards everybody.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And then tell the moderator, hey, we're recording. Can you make sure everyone speaks directly into the mic? Just let them know. And this client is,
Testing.
you know how when you're in hotels, you kind of don't tell the guests what to do.
Oh, yeah.
This client wants you to tell them to go talk into the mic.
Okay.
I mean, he's been in my face so many times about that, so.
Like in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Testing, 1, 2.
Okay, 1 second here.
When does this start?
I'm sorry?
When does this start?
10.
10, okay.
Okay. Okay. I think we're good. Anything else I gotta tell you? Oh, do you have my phone number?
I don't think I do. I saw some home office number on your
Yeah,
email.
my cell's a different number.
Okay.
Because what we do, if someone decides they want audio with their presentation, and that's when they come in, look at their laptop, see if they can just go VGA or if they need an adapter. If you need an adapter or if you need PC audio, just text me and I'll bring it down to you.
Okay.
Okay?
So your number.
714-496-3065.
Make sure it works.
I forgot to tell JC that. I'm gonna go tell him. So just stand by in here and
Okay.
make it so that you're comfortable when you come. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, then when you, I mean, 'cause, maybe I didn't explain this, but, you know, there's sessions all day and there's about 30 minutes in between each session. You know, where the office is, at the very left end there, I don't know if you remember, there's a tent set up outside
Yeah.
there. So there's coffee, and at lunchtime, there's like sandwiches for $8.
Okay.
There's coffee, soda, you know, anything you want. There's water right outside.
Okay, that's
So-
good, yeah.
Yeah. So, just want to let you know.
Should I turn on the projector right now? or
Yeah,
is that-
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll get started.
Are you the moderator for today?
I'm sorry?
Are you the moderator for today?
No, I just changed name tags.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, in and out. I'm sure they'll be here soon.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, they just made sure they're like, tell them to tell the people to talk to the mic. So.
Gotcha. Yeah, the moderator this morning's name is Bill Newell.
Oh, okay.
So on the
Oh, right
left
there.
side.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Thank
cool.
you.
And you can have that if you need it.
Yeah, I guess it'll probably help me. So, thank you.
You bet.
Good morning.
You doing a live webcast?
Yes,
So this is AR to XR?
yes.
Okay, great.
Can you get both of them? You're right.
She wants to have the attorneys and share your screen.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and welcome to Digital Hollywood. It is our joint pleasure to open up the conference. Today we're going to be talking about how XR, meaning AR, MR, and VR, are fundamentally shifting the way companies do business. So we have a great panel for you today. A lot has changed in the past 6 months, very encouraging developments for AR and VR. And we're going to try to cover as much information as we can. We have a PowerPoint that is packed with data and analytics that you probably would need to make strategic decisions. So if you want to have a copy of the PPT, just give me your business card or email address and I'll be happy to mail it. There are about 15 slides with information that we're not going to show at the talk, but you'll be able to have them if you like after the session. So we'll start by getting to meet our panel. We'll start at the far left with Rafaela.
Hello, my name is Rafaela Camera with Accenture Interactive. At Accenture, fundamentally, we truly believe that extended reality is going to be as powerful as the smartphones or more in changing the way that we work, we learn, we play, and we do commerce or we buy things. And our role in this is to make sure that our clients are first movers and leaders in figuring out how to use XR in any part of their value chain, so whatever they need to solve for. I specifically run innovation and market strategy or positioning globally within the extended reality team.
How are you? My name is Nigel Tierney. I am Irish, that's why I sound like this, although it's not a good excuse for how I look. But yeah, so I run development and production for a company known as Riot. We're part of a larger company known as Oath, which is Yahoo and AOL merged together under another larger company known as Verizon. So I help run the 5G studio that we're building out of Playa Vista, and we're fundamentally Riot is focused with creating the future formats and innovating in those in that area. Fundamentally as well in XR around what 5G will unlock in that area. So previously before that I came from traditional animation. I was at DreamWorks Animation for about 10 years, and kind of what I saw when I first got into cartoons and, is what I'm now seeing with XR, like that intersection of storytelling and technology. So that's where it's really exciting for me.
Thank you, Nigel. That's pretty amazing that your parent company has an umbrella company that has an umbrella company.
Oh, yeah. It's a Pac-Man type scenario.
All right. So, Michael, please go ahead.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael Leventhal. I'm a partner at Holmes Weinberg. I'm an attorney, business transactional attorney, and I do a lot of work with intellectual property in corporate, work with a lot of early stage companies. My emphasis is in this area, XR, AR, VR, MR, whatever you want to call it, and all of the kind of ecosystem of it, which means artificial intelligence, spatialized sound, and all that sort of stuff, everything that kind of helps to create the whole ecosystem. I'm a strong believer in this area. I'm also an alum of Magic Leap. I was a vice president there for a few years, and I was a general counsel when it began. So I'm crossing my fingers a bunch right now. I don't know more as this goes, but this is an awesome area, and in 5 years, I think the world is very, very different because of what we're doing here today.
Thank you, Michael. Oliver?
Cool. Hey guys, it's a pleasure. My name is Oliver. Probably the only one with the worst accent than Nigel from the city of Amsterdam.
There is mine too.
Wow.
Michael is representing
Yeah. 4 accents out of 5 candidates.
One native on the panel.
Guys, I work for a company called Mediamont, one of the biggest strategic global creative production shops on the planet, one of them. And what we do is we help brands create amazing creative content across a variety of verticals. One of them we call innovation, and as part of innovation, we focus on VR, AR, XR, MR, AI, pretty much all the buzzwords out there. We help try not only push the industry forward with the things that we do, but also help push the brands, their bottom lines through some of this innovative technology, which is very exciting. With that, I want to thank you, Bill, and everyone for me to join this panel. I'm very excited. And also a quick appreciation to you guys being this first round. Digital Hollywood for being here, which is great. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so first congratulations on knowing the freeway traffic and making it to the conference. It's great to have you here. So my name again is Bill Newell. I'm the CEO of North South Studios. North South Studios is a software and content development company. And we also have a division now that is a full service XR. So we do augmented reality, mixed reality, and virtual reality. We recently have our first, what I consider first big commercial success, the Museum of Santa Cruz, a Museum of Art in History, use our technology for an exhibit that they had where they had too many art pieces and pictures that were covering the walls and there was no way to convey information. So they used our technology so that you could point to the different art pieces and learn about it. It was a simple solution and we put it together in 2.5 weeks, including doing a photo shoot at the location so that we could enable our image recognition technology. So we're really excited. Our platform has taken off. There's a lot of interesting things to talk about, so we're going to get started. So the center of our conversation is how companies are shifting the way they do business based on XR. And we're going to talk about what is happening right now. So we're talking at present time things that you can even research later on in depth on the web. And we're going to talk about what we think the patterns are going to be for the next 2 years and how that impact is actually going to grow. So many companies, I will just cite an example. Mercedes-Benz, for example, in selected models, is already offering you an app that basically replaces your manual. You are no longer going to have 500 pages of super small print where you have no idea. It's like reading the instructions for your calculator, right? Who does that or did that in the past? So now you're simply going to point at your dashboard at an element that you want to know how it works, and it's just going to launch the information interactively. So this is just one example. But to look a little deeper, I want to go around with our panelists and see how they are using XR or how it's impacting their accounts or how are they seeing this used in a B2B or B2C. So Rafaela was kind enough to provide us with a couple of slides to talk about it, so I'm going to put the first one up. And Rafaela, why don't we start with you?
Incredibly beautiful slides, they are very creative. No. If you can stay with me just for a couple of minutes, I can explain how we're thinking about extended reality and Accenture. So we obviously service clients. So for us, the way that we look at XR is not really to build a product, but to figure out how we can create solutions and how we can help our clients figure out how to better solve for their business, whatever their business is. So if you think about the overall value chain of a business, and things can be a little bit different, but generally speaking, you have the enterprise pieces and the consumer-facing pieces, right? We can move to the next one if you want. There are 4 main areas I think we look at: planning, operations, consumer outreach, and learning and training. So if you look at the enterprise on the top side, anything that has to do with simulation or designing a product or a building or anything else in XR, that's something we're concentrating on. The second would be, and then I can go a little bit further if you want later. The second would be anything that has to do with helping a worker do his job or her job, particularly when they are not in the office, so when they are far away and they need to have support of some kind. We call that the connected worker. The third is everything that has to do with immersive learning. I think you'll hear everybody talk about that. From a humanistic perspective, I think that's probably one of the more interesting things about XR and how it will change the way that we learn in general. The fourth is around 3D spatial planning and analytics in 3D. The fourth is this idea of being able to work with workers that are not in the same location, so this idea of teleportation and things of that kind. And then at the bottom we have the more customer or consumer-related activities like immersive brand and marketing. That could be in VR, it could be an AR app, it could be an AR lens of some kind in Facebook or Snapchat. Anything that has to do with product discovery, that's where we put VR merchandising. And then lastly is this idea of helping, once you've already sold something, how can they use that specific thing? For us specifically, we believe that the areas that particularly this year have the more customers are more interested in using XR are for design, for the connected worker, for learning, for anything that's XR marketing leading to commerce or downloads or anything else, and in VR merchandising. So this idea of setting up stores virtually and planning them before, including the planogram, including what type of assortment you're going to have or what kind of promotional material you might have.
Thank you, Rafaela. So clearly there's a lot to talk about, and we'll come back to several of the points that Rafaela just made. Nigel, you're also in the front working with clients, with high-level clients. Which areas have you seen AR developing?
Yeah, I mean, it's developing across the board. So my kind of belief is that there's a triangle of what AR or XR can kind of hit. There's utility, meaning it serves an actual purpose, like finding my friend in a crowd with a giant arrow or using a measuring tape type of an AR experience. That's utility. There is storytelling, like what is an engaging, interesting piece of storytelling, and then there's advertising, right? And so how those three can interplay is really important. So for example, a big problem with AR right now is you need to download an app. And at Oath, we have a large suite of brands such as, if you think about, Yahoo Mail and Tumblr and TechCrunch and Engadget. These are all Oath brands, and people already have those apps, so why not integrate AR into them? So what we did was we did launch AR advertising inside of Yahoo Mail, which are like, Yahoo Mail, that's an interesting place to maybe put AR, but 25% of all Amazon receipts go through Amazon, through Yahoo Mail, so it's a huge purchasing process. So we created ads that were utility driven, so being able to, your obvious things like placing furniture in a space, placing a Christmas tree and being able to decorate it, having some interactivity and forming those habits. But on the complete flip side, we want to create unique and strange storytelling experiences. So like this past Tribeca, we had an experience where we had one of our directors, Assad Malik, an amazing director. He wanted to put you in the experience of what it's like to be a perceived Muslim being interrogated coming into the country. So we created this experience called Terminal 3, where you get to wear a HoloLens, Microsoft HoloLens, and you interrogate a hologram, and it's voice controlled. And at the very end, you got to decide whether this person was allowed into the country or not. And your questions humanized them and dehumanized them. And at the very, very end of it, you got to meet that person in real life. So I sell a Home Depot ad, I sell a freaking weird, trippy, powerful storytelling experience, all using that same technology. So for us, it's all about trying to push what's obviously from a market level, but what's also going to tilt the needle into future telling formats. So.
Michael? So as an attorney, I ended up working with a lot of different people on a lot of different kinds of projects. I think probably one of the things that has been the most popular, maybe since the last conference, is location-based VR, which, in my view, is not going to be the largest area that XR is going to, occupy. I think it's going to kind of fundamentally change everything, but it is it's something that's happening right now for a variety of reasons. One is that the headsets are still expensive, and so going to a place where there's a headset is something that more people can do than to have an experience at home. Another is that the location-based VR experiences, kind of the premium type of experiences, can be pretty cool, and they're something that no one has ever done before. So I'm seeing a lot of that. And another reason is that a lot of our kind of real estate in the world is in play right now. If you live in Los Angeles or probably any major city, you're seeing that malls are failing all over the place. There's all sorts of retail space that's available. There are all sorts of people thinking, well, maybe we put some XR experience into a mall, then we can kind of draw people back to it. It's not just there. There's cruise ships and airports and resorts and all of that sort of thing. So that's, I don't mean to spend too much time on it because, like I said, I think it's a niche market, but it's an interesting one, and it is something that's been happening a lot. The rest of what I'm seeing in my practice is people working, kind of some of the utilities. I've got some clients who are working on spatialized sound, and I think that sound is an area of the XR experience that is underappreciated, and I think as we go forward, right? Yeah, right. Shout out to the audience. But I do think so. I think as we go forward, we're going to see that is a critical component of a truly immersive experience.
Thank you, Michael, and we're going to circle back with you because there's additional considerations from a legal perspective now that you need to start thinking about when you do XR experiences.
True.
So, Oliver, last time when we met in May, you shared with us this really cool Mazda video driving in the sandbox. And this year when we were, last month when we were chatting and catching up, you shared with me about another very interesting experience at Comic-Con. I wonder if you would be kind enough to share with everybody.
Excellent. Yeah, for sure. So I think now it being 2018, we're talking about XR, and to me, honestly, there still is a distinct, for now, a distinct difference between AR and VR due to something that everyone here mentioned, whether that be a consumer adoption, whether that be a lack of distribution on the VR side. There is a distinct difference. Talking about VR for now for a second, and connecting that to anything that we did at Comic-Con. We were lucky enough to work with a small brand called Amazon, and they took over, we with them took over an entire parking lot during Comic-Con, and were able to build the biggest VR hyper reality experience, which was 30 feet tall and 150 feet long, where we, for the launch of an IP called Jack Ryan, I don't know if you guys have seen it, it's very fun, I like it, I recommend it. We launched this real-time obstacle course where we had people wear these VR suits from top to bottom and actually go through this whole experience, supported by actors, literally jumping out of helicopters, physical helicopters, in VR, creating a completely different world in their experience, clearly walking through buildings, having a shootout, and then going down a long line, I think it was 50 feet long, zip line, and drive a Jeep, everything you're doing in VR, so they never step out of that VR experience. And that's, I think, speaks to location-based entertainment. And what I enjoy about VR, the original promise, is taking people into a different place and time that you can normally not be in. And VR right now, due to lack of distribution, works really well for location-based entertainment, because you can really have people, truly have people immersed in that world if you start adding four-dimensional elements to it, or haptic feedback. For example, jumping out of a helicopter, we had a big blower waving down or blowing down people's hair went crazy, and we went to top of big switch, and as soon as you switch it with wind blowing their thing and it vibrates, and people are so immersed, it's unbelievable. They really turned into this analyst called Jack Ryan going through the experience, and that is something that you can never ever do. The problem, several problems that we had there was we had a throughput of about 550 people during 3 days. That means only 550 people could do an awesome experience that was well invested by Amazon. And that is unfortunate. And how we tried to solve that was quite interesting. So halfway through the experience, we tapped into a game platform called Twitch. You guys probably know it. And we actually live streamed on the Twitch platform what the person that was going through that experience, what he was experiencing. And we had millions of people actually becoming part of that experience, which is very exciting. So we have if you Google it, you'll find it, and I recommend you guys have a look. It's a very great execution demonstration of what VR can do and the original promise of it.
Yeah, that's the thing, that even once everybody has a fabulous headset at home, that's easy to use and, you know, and easy to adopt, you still can't have that experience at home. That, you have to go to someplace that has been designed for it.
Well, that sounds so exciting and expensive to put together. but really, really encouraging, and it's great that it was a great success. So on my end, we have an AR platform, and our goal is really to enable people to launch AR experiences quickly and at a reasonable cost. So we have, and of course, when it comes to cost, anybody will tell you here how much is it going to cost. It's like asking how much is it going to cost to build a huge game. Well, it depends. What is it that they have? What do they do? What are the graphics? Et cetera, et cetera. So cost is kind of tricky, but you would be surprised how affordable augmented reality can be. If you want to learn about it, we can talk about it after the session, so I don't monopolize the time. But so we have seen on our end really more use that is information driven. So the museum, for example, wanted to convey information about paintings and photographs in a way that was discreet and it wouldn't interrupt the experience of other visitors to the museum. Other clients have been experimenting with the idea of providing you information at the point of sale. So often, you know, when Toys R Us was still around, I used to make the example that you go, you find something, and then the real chance is to find somebody to give you information about that product because there's basically two persons running the store. But with AR now, in a retail environment, you can get information about a product right there and then and make a decision at the point of sale. Additionally, you can actually record the purchases, so there's not going to be a need for a cashier, for example, soon, which is going to represent a shift on employment and that kind of. But so let's talk a little bit about the vertical markets that we see flourishing, and any particular brands that you guys feel have made an interesting proof of concept or something that really caught our eye. Who would like to get us started? Manuel,
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, so there's two questions there. So someone who's doing some interesting things in the space right now, I mean, Magically, right? They're making that step, you know, what is the headset, AR headset kind of, like what is the next iteration of that, you know, based on previous experiences with Microsoft's HoloLens and obviously their own path. And you know, to me, again, we're not quite there yet, but it's great. I kind of internally like it's a magic step because it really is a good step in the right direction. I think there's a lot being exposed in that area. Like, not that my 5-year-old son is allowed to technically be playing with it, IPD, but he was engaged playing with the Builder creative tool, and he really was like having so much fun and engaging and interacting with that I was like, oh, that could be addicting, or that could be really powerful and useful. So I think that they're doing some great stuff. I think, you know, credit to Snapchat and creating these habit forming where I go every day and check to see what my filter is, and like, you know, and kind of democratize AR in a way that people don't even know that they're using AR. That's pretty great. I think that was a really powerful experience, and I think, you know, I said GAFA, you know, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, you know, so everyone's investing wholeheartedly in AR, like far more even than VR, to be honest. And so I think there's going to be a lot of big and interesting things we're seeing. But advertising right now is obviously the big play.
I agree. And I think is interesting when you think about it. All of the key 5 big, you know, so Google, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, and Microsoft have invested heavily. Magic Leap is basically owned by Google, you know, so some little detail. But that's just so you can see that all the smart money isn't there. But on top of that, you see companies like, I guess, Accenture, Mediamond, Riot, Michael's firm focus on it. And look at the names on the screen: Coca-Cola, Caterpillar, Pepsi, Tilly's. They're all big brands. I think that in all companies that have marketing departments, they understand that there's definitely a shift going on So I think the key here is to have a strategy. It may not necessarily be that AR is going to take over now, but if you don't develop a strategy, if you don't develop a transition, you can end up being the next Bullock or the next retailer that goes out of business because they didn't really understand the impact of an Amazon, 15 years ago.
I always have an anecdote to that now, and again, maybe it's exposing my 5-year-old son to too much technology, but he thinks games are broken now when they don't have AR in them. You know, it's that analogy of like when the iPad came out, magazines suddenly were broken. Like, why can't it? You know, so there is a generation of digital futurists and like these that are going to grow up with this world where, yeah, I think if you're not on the path to figuring out how to at least dabble, put your feet in it in some way, you're kind of you're lost. Because also those companies I mentioned, they are also being backed by the telcos, like AT&T, Verizon, like all these companies want to justify 5G, and one of the biggest things that will justify 5G, which is, you know, hundreds of billions of dollars investments just in the US alone, is XR. It's not going home and being like, oh, I can watch this amazing high fidelity, high quality experience, or oh, I can walk down and experience a Stephen King novel unraveled in the streets of LA, or whatever those things are. Those aren't technically possible right now because 5G isn't there, but when 5G is there, that is going to be possible, and that's actually a selling point for them. So I'm saying all of these companies are aligning around this thing. And again, there's going to be things that fail, and there's going to be, but the more things that fail, there's people that it's the right direction, people are trying. So.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of trial and error. How about you, Rafaela? You're with a company that is definitely trailblazed on the area of XR. You're one of the first companies that adopted even the term XR. And I know that you have been involved in that entire process. Any clients or any particular verticals that have caught your eye or something they have done that you see that is probably indicative of things to come?
Yeah, for sure. Certainly on the marketing side, yeah, what Snapchat has done in being able to make people play with AR without knowing that it is AR, and then building on top of that, and what they do with lenses now, they can do anything. They've become like mini apps within an app itself, right? That's amazing. But in addition to that, I think I would split it this way. On one side, automotive certainly is one of the industries that has doubled and has been using XR the most and probably the best. If you think about the rendering, how they build, how they design, and how they then showcase their models to consumers, either within a Snapchat lens, like BMW did, or within an app itself, like we did for the same client, or for others. Aerospace and energy, so oil and gas, huge users of XR. Probably one of the first users was the aerospace industry. Very much more so in the building and designing of either planes, engines, or oil rigs, and also in anything that has to do with safety and learning. So learning how to use something and learning how not to blow something up. And there are tons of applications for that, and also for the connected worker, helping workers lay cables or do something in the field when they don't have access to anything else. CPG and retail, they're very much using it and concentrating on the creation of 3D assets. So if you have a box of cereal, you're no longer required to just provide a 2D asset for that, so the digital image, but you're required to provide a 3D asset for that. If you think about the amount of 3D assets that will have to be created and trying to figure out who is going to be creating it at what point, how do you manage that, how do you distribute that, who are going to be the parties that we need to have access to that. It's a huge market, and it's something that these companies have been trying to figure out for years already. The other part of that is this idea of figuring out what do customers want when they get to the store. Not only what type of products they want, how do they want to see them displayed, how do they want to see them placed within the store, and how do you test for all of that without having to go to these centers that sometimes retailers or CPG companies place around the world, where you have to fly people there, you have to walk them through it, and then you have to manually figure out what they've done. You can now do it remotely, you can do it with mobile VR headsets, the cheaper ones, so to speak, that are not tethered to anything. You can tell, you can actually track their eyes and exactly what they've done, what they've interacted with. Have I picked something up? Have I turned it around? Have I placed it behind something else? Did I completely miss something else that was supposed to be on my right? Those are things that are happening now. They've been happening for a few years. So I guess our point is, it is true when you think about consumer type of applications, sometimes there is a lack of distribution. So it's difficult to grow because you cannot distribute unless you're doing AR stuff in platforms that already exist, like Facebook or Snap. But when you think about the enterprise, we call it enterprise. So when you think about a business, within a business itself, there is the need, there is the usage already, and I think a lot of the players are concentrating on that because that's where money already is. That's what you can do, and that's where you can learn from, because you have a pool of people, the employees who have to use it, and you can learn from that.
I think that you make a great point, and a lot of the big brands like Caterpillar, for example, has invested heavily, and it's not for a marketing purpose, but for an actual, for training and use of very specialized machinery. So there's really, there are really incredible opportunities in an enterprise, and it's really where most of the transactions are happening. And it's, of course, it's trickling down to the consumer area, because as success stories, you know, like Snapshot in Pokemon, etc., happen, then you know there's further opportunities to develop. Oliver, how about you? Any one of your clients or any one of their XR experiences that caught your eye or showed you something that you think, you know, this is something that I see catching on?
Absolutely, and I think starting with the example that you shared about Mercedes and porting that manual into the AR space is, if you think about it, that's actually the true original promise of Google Glass, because it allows for users to look at things that having their hands free. So to look at something, have a manual that you can just go through, however you interact with it, you have both of your hands and you can do work. I think there's a very practical use case that you can apply to many verticals. And Magic Leap is clearly going heavy on that front. What we've seen a lot, and Nigel mentioned it, the advertising space is very active when it comes to AR, VR. Automotive industry vertical has always been the first one, going heavy because they have some capital to try and do things, which is interesting. So we've seen a few things happening there. Mercedes example, we're doing something very similar in Europe right now. I cannot pull out the brand, but we're at the verge of deploying it, which is exciting. Another thing that we've seen is a lot of trial. So what tends to work in the ad world is if you can surprise people, like, hey, what happened? Then it kind of works, and it's a little advertising trick. And what we've seen a lot, and we've done a few as well, as a tangible example, is those AR mirrors where you stand in front of a mirror and all of a sudden I'm wearing this beautiful dress. I don't want you to picture that right now, but imagine.
Try not to.
So that's a great example of AR and people trying it in some of the first layers. If you connect that to, because we're talking about a lot of big brands and a lot of expensive trials, I think a great thing that is happening right now is it's twofold. One, I don't know if you guys are aware of a company called Shopify. They're kind of like allowing people or brands, small, medium to large brands, sell their things online. They actually created a marketplace right now and allowing over 600,000 companies already to help sell their products in AR. So they have a marketplace where you can create your own 3D objects of your product for free to Google right now. You can do it. It's all over the place. You can find it everywhere. I mean, but you can create your 3D models and then attach it to your Shopify extension. You can have people can actually experience it. And then when you think about consumer behavior, reach technical maturity, AR, everyone has it in their pocket right now. If your phone is now 2 years old, older than 2 years, meets distribution, there's still this one bottleneck, and that is you need a native app, and that is not ideal. Some brands have an app that they can leverage, some don't. Good thing is Apple just created this neural engine leveraging, I think, the A12 memory chip. Some technical stuff, but what it allows you to do is actually in Safari, if you have iOS 12, you can actually have AR objects already in browser, so you don't need a native app. That means that if you connect it to Shopify, there's a chance that you can already, I believe Apple has a 53% market share in the US. Imagine the people you can reach in your browser through AR selling your product. Amazing, fantastic.
Yeah, that's a quick look, iOS quick look. We've already been playing with it, and it's a huge friction point gone.
Yeah.
Which is really powerful. So to those both of your points, like you talk about automotive jumping in first. One of the things that if we strip XR away for a moment, we think about fundamentally what it is. It's CG assets, right? Automotive, I think, has been keen because they have always worked in that space. They're always going to deliver you some dope, high quality CAD model that you can then break down and work with and make it into a consumable asset. What we're seeing right now is heavy investment by companies in digitizing their assets. So if you look at Williams and Sonoma, they just spent $120 million on a company just to scan their assets, not just for XR, just to put on their website, so that they can have different colors of that couch and different things like that. So if you're thinking now if you're a company that sells a product, you want that product digitized because A, you can use it in AR, VR, you can now use it in a traditional content. It can be an asset that's showing it in a game engine like Unity, Unreal. So now this product can live everywhere. And that's what's fundamentally like I'm excited to get beyond these terms in a way because it is just going to be like, oh, I'm watching a game, I can control where I play the game, I can follow this person in Fortnite, I can put on my headset. You know, we're going to get into this space where content is very malleable and very cross-platform, I feel like. So, but companies like that having their products live in all of that space, but an underlying game engine maybe involved is the moneymaker in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I go that
No,
route? So yes, big firm yes to that. And what we've seen happen a lot is big brands using those capitals, translating that into low polygon objects that are ready for the web, which means that you can start playing around with product. And we've done a lot of it for a brand called Weber, and I believe I mentioned it last time on the panel, but what that allows for people to do is actually play around with an object. And if you allow people to play around with an object, is something that I believe is called persuasive marketing. But what it does is if you allow people to play with an object, whether that be planting it on the table or have it as part of your web experience or have it being part of a game, it tends to stick to the brain. And it allows for us, and we've seen it being a big success, it allows for us to sell very expensive product for brands, helping them sell it, without them ever touching it, right? So all of a sudden they're buying $2,000 barbecues without ever seeing the product, but they play around with it online. So I think that is why some of the automotive industry and some of the bigger brands that have those cost files are digitizing those files right now. That's crucial. It's actually essential for them to be able to start playing around in this world.
I know you wanted to add something.
And just to add, because I think your point is exactly spot on. Up to now, we've talked about 3D assets and the creation of 3D assets, and almost like something separate. That is not going to be the case. We're going to have almost this melting of 2D and 3D and 360 and CG, and we're not going to know what is what sometimes. So movies are already starting to do it that way. 360 in and of itself is kind of boring. Why would you want to be in something like that? And even if 360 with interactivity, sometimes it's not what you want or not what you might need. Even from a company perspective, if you take it a little bit of a more boring type of topic, you want to create assets for your product in any possible rendition that you can. You have to figure out when you want to do that. The easiest way seems to do it right at the very beginning, so you can shoot it and create it in any possible way. Then you can figure out where you want to use it. You might want to use a 3D asset in a snap lens. You might want to use it to design a car. You might want to use it to show a car to somebody in an AR app, or you might want to melt it together, so to speak, in an app or online or whatever else. But it's this idea that things are separate is not going to be the same way that the idea that we're going to be doing it on a phone or on a screen is not going to be the case anymore in 5 years, 10 years maybe. So if you can think that way, then I think you'll start approaching problems in a different way.
Michael, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, but before I switch.
Right.
So there's a lot, so stopping when so first of all, something that Rafaela said a couple of times I thought was interesting. I was thinking about this morning. She was talking about how with automotive, you use it to design and to display. This is similar to the real estate industry, the real estate business, where it's the same thing. People are using these applications to build houses, to build buildings, to visualize, what the shade is going to look like, how the sun is going to hit on a high rise that hasn't been built yet, and what kind of views people are going to have. And then they're using these technologies to sell the spaces that they've created. So there's a whole lot. So we're having, and XR is all through the lifespan, the life cycle of a lot of different industries. I think those are just two. You probably think of a lot of others that are like that. One area we haven't talked about yet is healthcare. Healthcare also, countless different types of experiences. We've had surgeons doing surgery wearing HoloLens so that they can have images, that they can have kind of real-time data overlaying the body that is on the table. We had last year some surgeons successfully separated conjoined twins who were conjoined in the heart, among other places, which I think was the first time they'd successfully done that. And the way they did it was they had the whole team put on VR glasses beforehand. They blew up the heart to room size, and everybody walked around inside of it to kind of get a better sense of what they were working with, and wound up with a successful outcome. People use it for post-traumatic stress disorder. They use it for pain management. So the healthcare, and remote, what we haven't done yet, but we will be, is remote surgeries, telepresence surgeries on battlefields and things like that. You've got some sort of a robot, and you've got somebody sitting in an office somewhere in New York City, directing or actually manipulating that robot through the surgery. So that's something that's happening. One industry I would not want to be in going forward is the monitor industry, because as these devices start to come online, the need for this is going to start to disappear. The need for that is going to disappear. We won't be manufacturing nearly as many monitors for people. And then the last thing, very quickly, we've been talking about digitizing assets. That kind of made me think about the AR cloud, which is something that, the idea that if you want to walk around in the world and I want to put something over in the corner of that room and I want you to see it, it's got to be persistent there, and that means there's going to be some sort of a massive database of assets that anyone is going to be able to access, and the scope of creating that AR cloud, that database of assets that everyone can access, is not just about 5G, which I not only will be justified, I think it's going to be stressed by the time that we're done here, but it's also kind of the rest of that ecosystem of building those assets and placing them there.
All right, thank you. That is a spirited.
We derailed you.
Yeah, that's okay, because you have just heard about a company spending $120 million about replacing manuals and all kinds of different exciting opportunities. So I think it's important to talk, and all of these things are possible, but there are different things that you can do with AR today. And so I think it would be important to put things in context, to talk about the challenges that AR still faces ahead, the things that you guys see on the road, and the opportunities. Clearly, there is an opportunity. If you're a 3D designer, there is going to be a lot of work for you in the coming years, because the amount of assets, of tangible assets, they need to be digitized, they need to be drawn, they need to exist, and as I think Rafaela or Angelo said, in different resolutions. You have to have everything high polygon, low polygon, etc. So 3D is an area that is going to flourish even beyond what it has already done. But it's not the only one. There are many other opportunities, but there are challenges. For example, you mentioned quick view, so you can see a 3D asset through your browser. However, it's limited. Right now, you can't really interact with it. It's really just one little piece that Apple has released. But it is a piece that gives you a little hint of things to come. So AR is not going to be confined to mobile devices or to the browser or to a specific kind of head-mounted display. I think AR is going to happen in different, with different devices depending on what is it that you need to do or you need to accomplish. So let's start with the challenges in solutions that you guys see since we don't have that much time left. Let's start with you this time, Oliver. Like, what challenges do you see or solutions that you see that are going to happen in the next few months or that you think are going to be solved or something that's already beginning to solve and therefore enable another aspect of XR?
So I think we already touched on a variety of both challenges and opportunities. We ran to a few challenges that we had to overcome with the Amazon piece of protocol that we created because it was a world's first, never been done before, and with that, a lot of challenges come. I think we talked about distribution, we talked about some of those big global brands that are helping us making it more tangible and applying it to our day-to-day. I think there are a lot of opportunities there. We talked about 3D assets and the creation or need of those assets in order for us to be able to start selling and have an effect on bottom lines. I think if you think about that, there are some challenges there. Volumetric capturing is a way to create 3D objects. Live shoot cameras are things that we need in order for us to create those assets and bring it to the augmented and virtual world. But we're getting there, and I think a great example that we have something that we did recently was for Tommy Hilfiger, where you just grabbed your phone or your AR glasses and you could partake in a fashion show. This beautiful lady was walking on your table, and you can just have her wear a variety of different things that you like, and you can buy it through the AR app, which is fantastic. And I think that is that shows of the opportunity, but it also reflects some of the challenges that we have right now. When you think about assets, when you think about distribution, when you think about all of those things.
So, Rafael and Nigel, you guys have implemented a lot of solutions for high clients. One of the key decisions that I'm sure that a lot of people perhaps are not aware of is, depending on the kind of experience that you want to launch, there are decisions as basic as, well, are you going to use a cloud-based solution, or are you going to use something like ARCore or ARKit that are not cloud-based? And I know it seems like, well, what does that mean? Well, if you have thousands of assets that need to be recognized, you have to use the cloud. You can't use just the phone because the phone doesn't have the power to handle that. So I was wondering if you have encountered those challenges as you propose XR experiences to your clients, and how you go about, what is your line of thinking in deciding if I do something with the cloud or without the cloud, you know, ARCore, Vuforia, Voodoo, this, that, and the other. How do you decide? Because a lot of people in the audience, if they need to start thinking of a strategy, they're going to start to ask the hard question, right? Like, what technology really do I need, or what's my goal, I guess? Either one.
So, I mean, for me, it's always ask a question, do you want reach or do you want a big thing, a big wow moment, something that, you know, actually a quick example for one of our first AR experiences we did a few years back was we created a pop-up museum for inner city children where you went into a blank room and they got to experience the Louvre. Like, they got to put up these, there were just blank frames, and then they got to see the Mona Lisa, and they got to, you know, so it was their for a lot of these children, it was their first time going to a museum, and it was just a blank room. And only 12 children got to experience this AR, right? So from a reach perspective, very minimal, but that piece was not, we created a video piece, and it was nominated as an Emmy, and did really well, and it was for HuffPost, and did all that. So you can kind of do a reach like that, or I can, if you say you want a product that needs to reach 69 million users across Yahoo Mail, and you want to sell a product that way, we can, you know, there's a lot of different ways we can tackle it. I kind of want to go back a little bit though onto the friction points of that. The device is the friction, right? So when these get better, content gets better, right? Your graphics engines, all of these things, your phone signal like 5G, all of those things. Specific to VR though, if you can figure out how I can drink a beer comfortably without exiting the experience, that would be mine. That's the biggest friction point right now, and I won't be in VR for too long.
I've seen people eating spaghetti. That's not an issue. I know how to do this recipe. Yeah, so it's in our DNA from an Accenture perspective to always try to figure out what is the solution and start from, okay, so what is the problem, what is the need, and then based on that, what is the solution that we want to build. So that includes also figuring out how do you develop that and then what type of hardware you're going to use for that. Both of those are sometimes issues that can keep the client guessing and making them stop from going full-fledged into building something. Certainly we tend to do larger projects, so anything that's in the cloud or that can be distributed that way seems to be a better solution for the type of things that we tend to do, but then it depends on what you're trying to build for. 5G will greatly help anything that comes with that. We also though look not only at is it ARKit, is it ARCore, but there are companies that specialize in content platforms that are specific for a specific need. So if you're thinking about the connected worker, you're thinking about binocular or monocular type of glasses, that could be Vuzix, it could be the Google Glass, the secondary edition. We also look for those type of solutions so that we can build specific content and training. Again, think about somebody laying cables by themselves somewhere and not having access to the manuals, not being able to talk to somebody, having to just try to figure it out. Those are additional things that need to be thought of when we create a solution for a client. So usually the way that we think about it is we try to concentrate on areas of where we think that there is a need, and then behind that we create an offering that is a full-fledged solution. So from the software that needs to be used to create, to the content platforms, to the hardware, to whatever else that will come with it. And then figure out what are the best pieces depending on what the client needs. It's a little bit of a general answer, but that's the kind of the best that I can do. On the friction side though, it is true there is a lot of friction. Headsets have to get better and hardware has to get better. But on the positive side, I think anything that we see that is just a little tiny invisible meshing of XR with reality, I think that's what moves the needle. It has to be invisible to the user. It has to be so seamless that you don't see it and you use it, you adopt it, kind of like games and kids, right? They're used to having AR in there now. If you take it away, okay. It seems stupid, but that's how you get used to things being there all the time.
That's why Snapchat works.
Yeah, exactly.
Michael, you want to add something there? But the challenge is, one that comes to mind is, something I had talked to you about months ago, which is that now people are starting to worry, well, wait a minute, you're going to use the front of my building, or you're going to use my car, and so maybe you can...
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting legal issues. Some of them are actually the traditional issues. We've always worried about whether you're allowed to use the Empire State Building or the Eiffel Tower in at least the media. Is that something you got to clear or is it not? But it starts to get to be more interesting in this area just because of the way that people interact with, with a building or a piece of architecture or something recognizable. So there's certainly plenty of legal issues. One we were talking about earlier that's kind of related is more AI, and that was the idea that, and this becoming part of the ecosystem for AR and VR, is that some AIs are attempting to learn images of people. They're attempting to learn people so they can recreate that person as in an AI setting, to make it kind of an independent thing. And one of the ways you do that is you go to Google and you Google all the images of a particular individual that you want to kind of render into an AI, and you teach the AI by showing it these images. And the question comes up, has a copy been made? which may be a dorky question in the general world, but if a copy's been made, then you need a license. You've got to get rights for the copyright to that image, and if the AI is simply kind of learning from it, how does it do that? And is that something that that results in a copy being made, and therefore a license being required or not? And actually, I don't know the answer to that yet, because I don't know exactly what it is that the AI is doing to learn what it needs to learn. But that's something that's going to get fleshed out over time. There will certainly be a lot of things for lawyers to do out there as we know. So thank you. And I wanted to talk about one little piece of friction very quickly. In my completely unbiased opinion, the Magic Leap one is the best in class out there. It is $2,300. It is its field of view is still kind of like this, and nobody's going to want to wear it out in the world just yet. So all this stuff is coming. But we talked kind of briefly about the platform. Platforms have got to get there in order for this to really start to explode, and that's going to happen, but it hasn't yet.
So I think the device that you choose is going to depend on what is it that you need to do. You're not going to put the Magic Leap glasses and walk on the street, I hope. But you can use your mobile devices for that. However, if we were collaborating, building perhaps a maquette for a building, we would both have the glasses and both it work. So it just really depends a little bit, right? What about you? Do you want to add something to?
So I find very interesting what you just said, and I think a massive opportunity is connecting with different technologies to each other to create something that hasn't been done before. Whether that be AI and AR, AI or VR, doesn't matter. A good example, something that we're doing for a beverage brand right now, can't say too much, but is we're shooting a little over 2,000 pictures of a can from every angle, from every different lighting, all that good stuff, and we're training a neural network to detect if that's an actual can of that brand. And then as soon as we start using the AR that we're building, whether it detects it or not, we're also shooting 500 false negatives in order to understand it's not a different competitive brand, clearly. But then as soon as we have that can and someone opens it up, that connects you to sales, right? An AR experience around that can launches. Super fun. You can only get to experience it through AR and through buying a can. So that's where some of those things come together, which is very, very interesting. So I think that's a good segue into strategy. I don't know if you want to go there already.
Yeah, we have a minute and 41 seconds. About strategy we can share.
So I think the last.
Can we get another hour?
Yeah. So I think the last thing to say then is one opportunity. I think one of three. One opportunity is connecting different technologies. The second thing would be to make it tangible for yourself. How can I apply AR to my daily strategy? Is right now it's not the glasses indeed. We'll get there soon, and it will be the bridge, it will truly be XR, but it's considering your camera being your web browser. If you think about it like that, all of a sudden it becomes much more easier for you to apply AR to your day-to-day, to your brand, to your USPs, to your KPIs, all that good stuff. And the third thing is put your consumer to the heart of your marketing strategy. And I think that's easy to say, and Amazon was, with their principles were there before me, but everything they do is put their consumer-centric, consumer first. If you apply that strategy to your marketing strategy, put them first, and remove the silos of digital and offline and integrate it. Because nowadays, if I'm your customer, I will hopping from offline to digital, to AR, to web, to mobile, to all of those things constantly. So you start to think about it from an omnichannel perspective. Remove those silos, those red tape and those hurdles, and put your consumer-centric, and I think that is the sweet spot of those three things to build your strategy.
So I agree with pretty much everything you guys have said. I think what is interesting is that we have the connected worker concept already happening. We have the information at the point of sales or at the point of need, which makes everything easier. We have also a range of solutions. can go VR, you can go MR, you can go AR. You can go cloud-based or not cloud-based. You can use the browser, you can use an app. So there's plenty solutions, and there's literally solutions that we can put together for you in 5 minutes, and there's things that would take us 6 months to put together, a lot of money, like that Comic-Con experience that you expected. It sounds fabulous.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I want to thank you for coming and making it here early in the morning. Really appreciate it. I want to thank our panel. You guys provided us with great information, and we have even more information to provide you. And if you want so, just give me a call. I'll be happy to share the PowerPoint with you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.